What's up, my beautiful brothers and sisters? How are y'all doing today? You like how as soon as the moon hit Libra, I stopped making the videos? I didn't even make a new moon video. And now the moon, I just checked, is at 26 degrees of Scorpio. It's like, as soon as the moon hit Scorpio, it went over the Mercury retrograde. I was like, nah. Actually, I don't know what happened. Sometimes things happen, you know? Because I tell myself, it should be simple to just get out here and make a quick little video. It's only going to take about 10 to 20 minutes of my day, if that, because the videos are usually shorter. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes we have like a plan or an idea, we begin to put into action, and then we miss a few steps. We may miss a few steps along the way. And I think that's kind of perfect for what's going on right now. You know, I was even going to come up with the bullshit excuse that me missing the new moon, and I was going to be like, oh, from here on out, I'm not going to make new moon videos because I want you to have your own experience and for me to not really give my 2 cents on it. I was going to come up with that bullshit excuse, right, for just missing it. But I'm just being honest with you guys. I've had like a headache for like the past couple days too. It's been it'll go and come. It'll go and come. It'll go and come. It'll go and come. And just excuses. Just excuses. That being said, we could talk a little bit about these energies, of course. That moon in Libra, it's a new moon, of course. So Libra, of course, is about, it's about relationships and connecting to other people. It rules the Justice card in tarot, wanting us to seek balance, compassion, harmony, you know. And what's interesting too is that whenever you look at justice, whether it's the tarot card or just even the statues of justice, you'll see that with the Justice card, she's always blind, right? She's always blind, and then based off of whatever she's measuring, as far as like the weight of it, she bases her decision off of that. But how many times do we do that? How many times do we go into situations where we are actually trying to be blind to any type of external bias that may try and sway us, right? We are basing it solely off of the weight. And what are we weighing exactly? Are we weighing like our morality? Are we weighing, what's going to benefit us the most? Are we weighing what is actually truly just and true to us? But for anyone to say, it's tough to take an objective point of view. It really is tough to take a 100% objective point of view. Because while we are all connected to God's source, creation, energy, whatever you want to call it, it's sort of like each and every one of us is like this little button, right? But underneath the button is sort of like, the motherboard. The fatherboard, whatever. It's a motherboard. Let's just be real about it. It's a motherboard, right? So it's, even though each button has its particular and unique purpose, right? Sometimes it is hard to be 100% objective when it comes to the entirety of the buttons, and a lot of times we don't see that we're connected to the motherboard. We may feel our own unique connection to the motherboard, but we don't necessarily see where someone else in their particular position, why that button has to be particularly over there to interact with those particular wirings and knobs underneath, and how it actually contributes to the whole of this machine, whatever this thing is, whatever the simulation is, to work out. The new moon in Libra was an opportunity for us to be more objective in a world, especially right now, in an environment, in a political environment where it is increasingly more difficult to be objective. Everyone is throwing shit at each other. And then, of course, this gets compounded when the moon goes into Scorpio right after a new moon, on top of a Mercury retrograde. So we're already, when it comes to the communication aspects with Scorpio, we're already just communicating with the darkest parts of ourselves and having to deal with those dark parts and heal those aspects, or even realize that there are moments where these parts actually serve us, it's an interesting situation to be in that we all find ourselves in right now. I guess I would ask you, I have to ask myself, have I been truly objective at all throughout this process? Is it possible to be objective at all throughout this process? How are y'all doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Excellent, excellent.
Good.
It's a beautiful night.
It is.
I am an infinite spark of the divine, and so are you. So are you. It's funny, the kid back there says, like, "Mommy, who's that?" It's funny, you know. It's a question we ask ourselves all the time. Actually, I wonder when we stop asking ourselves that question. When you're a child, you ask these kind of questions. You're curious, and then somewhere along the way, you know, your personality kind of crystallizes. But then there's a moment in your life where the crystallization of your personality begins to break down. It's called Saturn return. So we gotta think. Let's just look at some of the aspects for this moon in Libra. The moon in Libra was squaring all of that Capricorn energy, right? It was squaring Saturn. It was squaring Jupiter. It was squaring Pluto, right? It was opposed to Chiron and Mars at the same time. The only cardinal energy that wasn't really getting activated was Cancer. It's the only energy that wasn't getting activated there. So, and cardinal energy is in many ways about direction and movement and really action, if anything. It's really action. So the only aspect that wasn't being activated was the Cancerian energy when it comes to sort of emotional action. It was all air with Libra, so the whole mental capacity. With the Aries energy, albeit Mars, they're both retrograde, so we're not really apt to really act on anything and really start any projects or get really super passionate about things. We're really trying to look deeper within ourselves to heal these aspects of ourselves, Chiron, and to move forward with newfound inspiration and passion. And then, of course, you have the Capricorn energy, which is what we're really hyper focused on because everything feels like it's crashing. Throw a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio on top of that, and you're gonna have people really questioning who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it. Is there a point to any of this? Is there a point to any of this? Yes and no. Because that's something that I can't really tell you. Everyone has their own unique connection to the divine source, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, right? Everyone has their own unique connection to it. And it's important to foster that connection. And if there's one thing out of this whole political dramatization that we are experiencing right now in the world, and especially the US, if it's, and I have my views and stuff like that, and you may agree or disagree with them, right? I have my reasons for voting for who I'm voting for. We can debate about that, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The one thing that has kind of pissed me off the most that I have heard as far as slander goes, the one thing that has pissed me off the most, I know the lighting sucks, but I don't really care, you can still hear me, is that if you vote for said person, you are not said religion or said spiritual person or said affiliated with said religious or spiritual group, right? The main one you see is that if you vote for this person, you're not Christian or whatever like that, okay? That pissed me off the most. It pissed me off the most. Because who are you to get in between my relationship with the divine? And that because of something as arbitrary as who I vote for, which really our vote doesn't really matter that much. It may not necessarily, see, I kind of think that our vote may matter up in the other echelons of experience, but maybe here there's all these control tactics and maybe our vote really doesn't matter, but they can still translate in other dimensions. You never know. You never know. Me bending down and flipping a leaf here may seem simple here, but somewhere else it can mean a whole nother thing, right? But it upset me to hear that. It upset me that some people were like, you cannot be a Christian or insert whatever religion if you vote for this person or that person. You see people throwing these around, and that's sad. When we allow something as simple as who we vote for make us develop a bias within our mind that this individual cannot be a part of this spiritual group that I may be a part of, because I can't fathom someone else being a part of that group that thinks differently than me. And how can we both be connected to the same spirituality or purpose or path and think differently and have different experiences? It doesn't make any sense. That pissed me off the most. It hasn't been directed at me. It just makes me sad that we allow something like that to get in the way. Because nothing can get in the way of you and your personal connection to the divine. And if it's anything that I feel like this new moon, or this moon in Libra and this moon in Scorpio transit is teaching us, is that nothing can get in the way of your connection to the divine. Nothing can get in the way of it. The only person that really can get in the way of it is you. But God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, always has a way of communicating to us. Whether it is through other people, whether it's through experiences. God always has a way to communicate to us what we need. So you're never truly disconnected. And nobody can tell you what your relationship to the divine is. No one can affect that. The only person that can is you. I think there's a level of spiritual hygiene that we really need to undertake, where we foster these connections, because Libra is about relationships, and it's not just a relationship to other people and romantically. It's to our kids, it's to our community, it is to our country, it's to the soil. And these are things that I never really understood. Interesting enough, I've been rewatching Naruto from the beginning, and like how they fight for like the village and everything like that. I know the village is like smaller than like a country, whatever like that, right? But like the fact that they fight for this village is something that I never really understood, fighting for a particular patch of land that you happen to grow up on. And because a lot of people grew up on different patches of land, and why would you necessarily be any more prideful? Essentially it's patriotism. I never really understood patriotism. Believe it or not, I'm actually starting to get it. And I think what we need is a healthy form of patriotism. We probably need to learn how to appreciate where we grew up without disrespecting where other people grew up. And then ultimately we'll get to the point where it's more on an earthly scale. And I think a lot of people in the spiritual community especially, we want to bypass a lot of the growth and a lot of the healing when it comes to where we were born and loving where we came from. Not that we don't love other places or don't care about or respect other places, but there's a lot of bypassing where we want to go straight to the full earth community, because we're all on this one earth. And that's true, but this earth is a pretty big place, and we gotta work in our little corner sometimes. Sometimes we just gotta work on our little corner. But don't let anyone tell you that you're not something just because of who you vote for, or that you can't connect to whatever form of spirituality just because of who you vote for. If God can come to prisoners who commit some of the most heinous acts, then God could certainly come to you just because of someone you vote for. So let's just forget the politics and all the bullshit aside. We all have our own unique connection to the divine, and it is imperative. It really is imperative that we actually foster and develop that relationship. I think it's, a lot of people, they may claim a certain religion or spiritual path or whatever, and sometimes, we like it when it's convenient for us. Sometimes we like the connection when we are scoring touchdowns all the time. We don't necessarily like it when it's the grind and it's a freaking 20-play drive that ends in a field goal. I'm going to football references, but you get what I'm saying. Sometimes it's a grind. Sometimes the relationship is a bit of a grind. Sometimes you score instantly. Sometimes you don't score at all. Sometimes you get flat out, walked all over, destroyed. Try again next week, you know? I'm just going to use like a sports analogy, right? Sometimes it's like that. But when we work on that connection and we foster it, beautiful things really begin to happen. You start to connect with people. You start to have these experiences. You start to have deeper dreams. Your dreams start to really have deeper meaning. You start to really appreciate a lot of the small things in life when you work on these connections. Because like I said, God comes through all of us. God comes through everything that you see around you. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. It's truly impartial. And I think that's something that we don't want to accept. That God is impartial. That even somebody that we hate or disdain can have godliness within them. Because we all have it within them. But we always want an enemy. Sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're the enemy, sometimes you're just the innocent bystander, sometimes you're the anti-hero. And sometimes, and a lot of times, the villains, if you pay attention to these movies and these books and everything, they have reasons. They have very valid reasons for being the villain. Right? So, I think that's it. I think I got the message out that I wanted to get out. So, the moon will be going to Sag soon. I'll be coming back with that video, but I didn't want to not say anything about these transits that we're going through. It's been tough. It's been difficult, you know. It's been a great challenge for us all. It's something that we have collectively manifested. It is something that we collectively needed. It's a collective healing that we're going through. But if there's anything that you get out of this video, is that nothing can come between you and your relationship to the divine. Nothing can come between you and it. You can go right straight to it. You don't need a middleman. Sometimes it's okay to have the middleman. Sometimes it's okay to have the bridge. Sometimes it's okay to have that mediator. Sometimes it's okay to have it. But nothing can get in between it. And don't let anyone tell you differently. Don't let anyone tell you that, oh, you can't be this because you do that. Why is that the case? What exactly gives you the authority to say that? And it's just an opinion by someone. It doesn't really hold any weight. And if it does, it's probably very heavy. If it does hold any weight, it's probably very heavy at that point. It's just not worth carrying around. Because it's about lightness. It's about being light. And not necessarily like the light that this thing is giving off, but just light in spirit. And keeping your heart as light as possible. That's what it's about. There's a lot of heaviness in the world right now. A lot of heaviness in all of our hearts right now. And we were asking ourselves, what exactly is it that we're wanting to carry? What exactly is it that we're wanting to transmute and transform? Are we willing to part with some of these things? It's tough to part with things. You know, that's one thing that the moon of Scorpio teaches us, is that the difficulty of parting with things and trusting that who we are on the other side of that transformation is going to be something that we really can, in many ways, kind of be proud of, but also just want to explore and evolve and grow and share and stuff like that. So, in any event, damn, in this light, I look old. I think it's because my hair is growing in, so I gotta shave it, so. But in any event, I love you all so much. Y'all take care and stay blessed. Enjoy life. Do the best that you can. You're doing great, beloved. You really are. I mean, it's like, you're doing a lot. You're doing way better than you think you are. You know, somebody cares about you. Somebody loves you. And, you know, it's easy to get caught up on the highlight reel of life, especially when we're on social media and stuff. It's so easy to get caught up on the highlight reel. But, you know, you're doing great. You're doing just fine, beloved. You're doing amazing. You're doing fantabulous. Okay? I love you all. Take care. Stay blessed. I'll see you soon. Yeah? Woo! Woo! I didn't forget about that.